other with their experiences, and they really get something out of it. So really, this whole idea of LAYNIE Foundation, and I know we're in Matteson, but I can't say this enough. We are a hidden gem with unlimited resources.
Amen.
We really are.
Amen.
And even this movement of this awareness, really this whole part of educating and this, I mean, professional development, even for the people who are teaching these children. I mean, we are really trying to just educate and make the entire community aware of everything that needs to be done to connect the pieces of this puzzle of mental health that we're talking about.
Yeah. Baby, you got another question you got there?
I do. Is there a difference between mental illness and mental disorders, or are they interchangeable?
Well, when you hear illness, they're interchangeable.
Okay.
So the disorder means that there is some unfunctioning in normal order. What is normal, though? Yeah, I mean, what is normal? And when I first started doing my early therapy groups, I had and it was group therapy, and I was facilitating it, and I was just getting started out, and I was being trained by an older gentleman who had been doing it for some years, and one of the clients asked him in the group, they said, "Man, you sound like you're crazy." Oh. and I sat back and I said, "Wow, okay." And he said one of the most remarkable answers that I've ever heard, and it sticks with me even to this day. He said, "I am no more crazier than the person next to me." Mm. And that really puts a different look on it.
Yeah, it does.
Well,
because
I'm
then
nut,
that puts a different look on how we look at mental health.
Yeah. Well, Joseph, I'm going to go as a person now that needs some assistance, because I don't really think, even though I need some help, I don't really think that I need to go to a clinic or go to see someone. I think I can handle this thing on my own. And so I don't understand why there's a need for you anyway, because why would I spend my money to come see you for you to tell me something that I know I don't have or I don't need the assistance to? I can take care of this on my own. You know, it's been with me longer than you've been around, so I know I can resolve this issue. So how are you gonna help me? You don't even know me. You know how kids always say, "You don't know me. You don't even know me." So how are you gonna help me to be able to discover something that first I'm not even recognizing that is there? How are you gonna help me recognize what I don't even see, and then help me to go forward with something I don't recognize?
Well, and this is somewhat of a different scenario, because the children or the families or the people who come through the doors are coming specifically for these reasons. But you're telling me, how can I convince you to look into these services, right, even though you don't need or want the help?
Right.
And I am in the helping profession, and I do my best to help everyone that I come across. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that you need the help, Mr. McCain, but
stop shaking your head, Brenda. Go ahead.
But I'm not saying that you do need the help. I'm not saying that you don't need the help. But there are times that we do have in life that are more difficult than others, and all I would really do is open the door for you and say, well, why don't you share maybe some of these difficult times, and we can talk about how you resolve them, if they are resolved, if you feel that you're comfortable with the way it was, the resolution was, because what I really am here to do is trying to find areas of improvement. So I'm not here to help. I'm not here to make things better, but I am fine. What I do is I look for areas and I see if there can be any form of improvement. And 9 times out of 10, the people, even myself, I'm not perfect. So if we're not perfect, that means that we can probably find some area of improvement.
Yeah, I just heard a doorbell ringing, so somebody must be coming to come see you now.
and all we can do is really see where the areas of improvement are. And you might like it, you might not. You might come in and say, "Oh, you're a huff.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You're blowing smoke," and that's fine.
So you said that you deal with children from 4. What is the age range again?
From 4 to 17 years old.
So I mean, dealing with that kind of range, I know the parents bring them both in, but do you see that it's more difficult with the child at 4 than the adult at 17, or is it vice versa?
We all have our preferences as practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think I was a kids person, but I work phenomenal with them.
Okay, it's great.
But I really do like working with adolescents and older teenagers. I feel that I mean, it's just more comfortable for me. But I even work with children who have the diagnosis of autism, low-functioning autism, which is actually becoming a niche, which will soon be a specialty. But I actually provide therapy services for clients who do not have very much verbal skills. So I do actual behavior therapy, but we're still looking at kind of thought processes, even though they can't verbalize them. I have all kinds of tools, and like I said, I'm always continuing to become that more of a professional. And I mean, if I can work with children or even adolescents that are low functioning on the autism spectrum and find ways to help them find improvements, and it's not the traditional mental health illness that we've been covering. It's not the depression. It's not the anger management. I mean, there is definitely some physical aggression. There's a lot of impulsive behavior. And just to kind of, share something with what I've been trained with about autism. There's the best way to explain someone with autism. If you can picture like a dirt devil or a vacuum being turned on in the center core of your body on full blast, you know how loud a vacuum is, and you know how it feels when it's got the suction.
Right.
So if it's at the center core of your body and that thing is on full blast all the time, and that is exactly why. And this autism spectrum, it is phenomenal working with this population.
Yeah. Hey, Joseph, before we go into our final few minutes, tell me about the early signs. I don't think we talked about that, so someone can see maybe the early signs that someone may have a disorder so they can bring them in for a diagnosis.
Well, especially within children, any type of behavior issues, any type of verbal or physical aggression, any type of hitting, which, I mean, I grew up with brothers, and brothers fought. I mean, that's what brothers are going to do. But you can tell when it's kind of like a brother scuffle, or when it's a constant, repeated, just kind of repetition, and you're seeing just, it becomes patterns, especially with the anger. Or now these are the ones that are very easy to see. You also have to look at the ones that are associated with depression, the ones that you can't see, the real quiet children, the ones who don't talk, the ones who seem sad or maybe even seem happy but just try to avoid interacting with teachers. They're not playing with kids on the schoolyard. They're not talking to brothers or sisters or moms. They're keeping to themselves, or they're always on the computer. Those are the ones that we have to really keep an eye out. Yeah. Because believe it, trust me, those the symptoms that aren't easy to see, those are the candidates that can really follow through with really hurting themselves or hurting someone else.
Yeah. I was looking at some of the things here, and they're saying early warning signs. You touched on some of them. Eating and sleeping too much, pulling away from people. You touched on that. Having low or no energy, feeling numb or like nothing matters. One that kind of threw me off was this: having unexplained aches and pains. I'm like, I didn't understand what that meant. Yeah. What is that?
You have headaches, your body aches. I mean, am I correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Your psychological process or your thinking processes are so strong you can actually physically make yourself sick.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, I mean, they're talking about some of those things, but I would definitely suggest that, you check out some of the early warning signs, and if you think that person has some of these disorders, you definitely want to go to a place like the LAYNIE Foundation. That's the only one we're recommending today, the LAYNIE Foundation. And we are thankful to have you. Baby, what we doing right now?
We are pulling into our last stop. Woo-hoo! That's what we're doing. And we want to thank Mr. Joseph Tellez or Tellez, whichever way sounds good to you, for joining us on our ride tonight. This has been a very informative show.
It has been very informative. I have really learned how to deal with you now, Brenda. So it's been very
and before I go, can I just say that definitely just, you can go to LAYNIEFoundation.com. You can look us up on Facebook. But there are endless opportunities to really join this movement and contribute to these services.
Joe, I want you got to give us that information for that last
Absolutely.
thing. What was that?
So May 8th is the benefit dinner. And then June 7th, we have a comedy show, which will feature Mark Curry, Mr. George Wallace, Mr. Michael Collier,
wow,
and Mr. D.C. Curry.
Wow, they got some people there now.
And this is going to be a really good time, as we have 4 ridiculously funny gentlemen that are going to take the stage. And it is going to be Father's Day weekend. It is titled A Father's Chance.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that we will continuously give some information on that throughout the coming weeks. And when it gets close to that, we'll let you know more about how you can get tickets. Are tickets available now, or how are you doing that?
Absolutely. Tickets are available. We're going to have them through Ticketmaster, or you can contact the Director of Operations himself, Mr. Joseph Tellez at the LAYNIE Foundation. And I will definitely look into getting you package deals or even discounts, as I definitely try to take care of anyone that is associated with the Let's Stay Together show.
Hey, man, we appreciate that. Hey, Joseph, I mean, man, this has been awesome. You know, you're a family member now. You taking something. What you got to say, baby? Are you just taking my papers because you're trying to get me to be quiet?
I'm crazy, remember?
Okay.
But I'm just letting you know I'm riding with Joe over here.
Okay, because
you just
I didn't
dogged
messed up.
me out.
You know, it's just all about fun. You should have said some things, too.
Is.
You didn't say your thing. You just shaking your head when they was looking at me.
I have minutes now. I have 4 minutes.
Okay, but you ain't got to talk about your husband. You know.
My husband is obsessively a nut and crazy about his loving wife, Brenda F. McCain.
Yeah, I do love you, baby. So, Joe, I mean, you know, we definitely you're a part of the McCain train now, so there's nothing you can do about it.
Come back anytime in school.
We will definitely have him back to talk about this, and I think I said something about we do our TV things now, and so this is something I definitely want to make sure we get on it. Thank you very much, man, for coming and share with us about this and letting people know that you don't have to be ashamed about having a disorder. Baby, what's our show going to be about next week?
Oh, you would say that.
Yeah, I ask her that every week, Tracy, and she puts that paper. Joseph, Saturday, 10 o'clock. I'm bringing her there. Do they still have the white coats that you can put people into? I got to find if they got a white coat that we can put you in.
Anyway, and I like blue.
Unless it's a fur white coat.
Yeah.
I like him. He's so adorable.
Yeah.
He's taken, but he's adorable.
We don't have to fight with him again.
Right. On that note, next week's topic is developing young girls into virtuous young ladies. Now, some might think that might be hard to do now because of the young ladies we see on the streets now, but that's the purpose of the show, to grab one, get a mentor for them, and show them that they could be righteous in their walk amongst Chicago people.
Hey, Joseph, before we go, give us some information about the LAYNIE Foundation again.
Again, LAYNIE Foundation, we are in Matteson, Illinois, 4747 Lincoln Mall Drive, Suite 305. You can call us at 708-261-0472, or you can look us up at LAYNIEFoundation.com, or look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and every other social media that we are connected with. And thank you again. Thank you both, Mr. and Mrs. McCain, for having me. This has been a pleasure, honor. I had such a great time.
Yeah, we did have a great time with you too.
Yeah,
hey, I'm gonna do a little my Jerry Springer thing at the end. You know, Jerry always talks about things, and I'm gonna sit in my chair, and I'm not gonna be Jerry Springer, but I want to say this for those of you all who are listening to the show. Let's speak out about mental health disorder. Let's talk about it. Let's share it. Let's not be ashamed of it anymore. Let's take away the stigmas and the thought process that it's a hidden thing. Let's remove the fear of being able to be helped by someone who cares about you. We brought you a corporation called the LAYNIE Foundation here today because we wanted to bring someone that cared about you and loved you and want to let you know that help is there. All you've got to do is reach out, and the help is there. Thank you for listening to Let's Stay Together show. This is Reverend Rick McCain. I almost forgot my own name. Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, author Brenda McCain. You've been listening to Let's Stay Together show. We'll see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Woo-hoo!
Log on to Urban